football. And so Mike Tannenbaum came up with 4 players that he sees on the move by 2022. Mike T, take it away.
Number 4.
One's easy. Jimmy G. At the end of this season, Jimmy G will no longer be a San Francisco 49er. I think a couple landing spots to him, Denver, maybe Carolina, maybe the Saints, depending on how Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill play out, and the Houston Texans, who obviously there's massive question marks going to not only 21, but 2022 in terms of who will be their quarterback.
Number 3.
Brandon Scherf, a very good guard, arguably Washington football team's best player outside of Chase Young, hasn't signed an extension. He's a player to me that is a difference maker. He's under the radar. I think he would become the highest paid offensive lineman until Quentin Nelson signs his extension. Where will he go at the end of the year? The fact that he hasn't signed an extension means to me that his days in Washington, in all likelihood, are probably numbered.
Number 2.
Stephon Gilmore, the great corner of the New England Patriots. He's had a contract dispute now going into the second year. Last year, they put a Band-Aid on it. Coach Belichick has a history of moving on guys in this situation, be it Lawyer Malloy or Richard Seymour. So the fact that he hasn't signed a new extension, to me, I think his days in New England are numbered. Boy, there could be so many teams that would be interested in him. The one team that jumps out is Seattle. Seattle has a good team. They really need another frontline corner. So if Stephon Gilmore doesn't sign an extension in the coming weeks and goes into this year without a new deal, I could see him being a Seahawk in 2022.
Number 1.
Aaron Rodgers. So I think the ultimate compromise to me would be Aaron Rodgers coming back, playing this season. The Green Bay Packers agreeing to shorten his contract, eliminating the last 2 years of his deal. He plays one more year in Green Bay. That gives him another year to evaluate Jordan Love or figure out, do they need to draft another quarterback? And at least it eliminates all the noise for this year. And it's not ideal for either side. It's, to me, the ultimate compromise by both the Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
I'm glad you said that about Aaron Rodgers, because this notion, Mike, that they should be under any pressure to try to trade him now at this moment doesn't make sense. And because I don't think you're trading from a position of strength right now. Most teams are settled. I don't know if you're going to get draft picks that you don't know where they're going to be depending on the season. So I don't think there's any pressure to do that. But yeah, by next season, sure. You know, and if you work it out where you say, okay, hey, we'll trade you, but you still got to play this year out. I don't know if even Aaron Rodgers is going to, even want to do that. But there's a couple of things here before we get back to Aaron Rodgers that really, when you said, you struck me a couple of times. Jimmy G, you mentioned Carolina. Is that because Sam Darnold is sort of on that, if he doesn't get it, if he doesn't show you something, they're ready to move on already?
Well, David Kaplan brought it up earlier in the show about Matt Flynn signing a big extension, and then they draft Russell Wilson, and the rest is history. They exercised the fifth-year option in Sam Darnold's contract, so he is guaranteed for next year. However, if he doesn't play well, Matt Rule is a coach to me that has had a high standard. He's not going to be married to anybody. And if they feel like Jimmy G is an upgrade over Sam Darnold, which he very well could be, then I certainly think that that's a possibility. I don't think the fact that the Panthers exercise Sam Darnold's fifth-year option means that he's just solidified for the next 5 years to be the Panther quarterback.
Oh, okay, now let's get back to Aaron Rodgers, because this is a story, obviously, that just won't go away. But I find it funny how this is being handled. Again, your experience as a guy in the front office, and you talked about times where you tried to keep it cool and the times where you lost your cool. This has been so poorly handled. I think everybody's the bad guy at this point. But I do find it entertaining how Aaron Rodgers has tried so hard, let me fix my halo and speak again. And so, as you know, he's got the match with he and Tom Brady. They're going to play, I guess it's at 5 o'clock today, the match. And so he has been available to media, and he talked about what this whole offseason has been like for him. And listen to how he words this experience right now.
sometimes the loudest person in the room is not the smartest person. Sometimes the loudest person in the room is not the person who has all the facts on their side or the truth on their side. This offseason, I've spent a lot of time working on myself. I think for a long time, mental health has been only an okay topic to broach if you're talking about dealing with bouts of depression, but there's not a lot of conversation around just the idea of having a very positive mental health state. I've just been really trying to think about what puts me in the best frame of mind.
Now, Monica, you're all about balance and wellness.
Balance
You
and wellness.
always say that, and I love that. And he spends most of this quote talking about, wanting to be in the right mental state of mind and working on himself that way. Not that it's depression, but more of just balance and wellness.
Balance and wellness.
But at the very beginning of that, though, it did sound like he still managed to throw a little shade at, sometimes the loudest voice in the room is not necessarily the smartest voice in the room. He always seems to have these little digs that seem like they're being aimed directly at Green Bay.
But they come from a place of balance and wellness.
Come on now.
So they are
It's so passive aggressive, though.
Listen, he said nothing, okay?
He did?
He said nothing. He said balance and wellness. He said nothing. The loudest in the room, the quiet, the silence. All right,
what does
peace
that
be
say?
still.
All right. So
Like,
you're not
whatever.
buying in, Mike.
I'm not buying
Did
anything.
you hear him say anything that would sound like a little passive aggressive shot at Green Bay while also discussing mental health?
Absolutely. And all he had to do is come out and say, hey, I want to be a Packer or I don't. He didn't say either of those two things. But if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to the match today and I'm going to be there and say, hey, we want you to be a Packer. We want to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. We want to work actively to make sure you are in that great state of mind. We have not been perfect. We've made mistakes, and let's collectively fix it so you could be happy on the field and off the field.
But haven't they done that? Haven't they done that? Haven't like 3 different visits from 3 different people? Haven't they tried to sit down with him and say, what do you want? Let's fix it. And he's letting them know, too late. You should have done this years ago, and I'm done.
Alan, you're asking the wrong guy. I was told for 6 weeks that Brett Favre would never want to go to the New York Jets. And we kept hearing no, that he lives in Mississippi. He's going to play for John Gruden in Tampa. He played for Gruden in Green Bay. It's a close flight from Mississippi. And we just kept working on it, And for Aaron Rodgers, this is about the future. This is about not the next 3 years, the next 30 years, your legacy, having roads named after you. You start off at junior college. Do you want a Green Bay Packer, Aaron Rodgers, junior college foundation? There's so many things he could do with his legacy that he could only do in Green Bay. So I would be talking about the future, not the past.
The legacy piece is really interesting. That was that.
It just doesn't seem to. Again, when you listen to him talk, and the few times we've heard him, most of the time his availability has been because of promoting this golf event that he's going to be part of today. But he does keep kind of bringing back this notion. First of all, again, sound like a politician first time around about how it's about the character and the people and the culture and all that stuff, which sounds like, again, more attacking at the leadership of the Packers. And then here talking about, again, the loudest voice is not necessarily the smartest voice. Little things like that he's saying that suggests that whatever's going on in Green Bay, I don't want to be part of it anymore. As if he's just not happy there anymore and doesn't want to do it. Mike, you say they just should keep working on him. Even, let's say, all right, they get into training camp, he's still not there. It's costing him money every day. He doesn't care. They start out the season with Jordan Love. It looks terrible. Everybody's mad at everybody at that point, right? Do you keep going back to him saying, you can come back right now. Week 4, come back right now. Like, would you spend the entire season begging him to come back?
Yeah, the door's always open because if you ever have to trade Aaron Rodgers, if you're the Packers, it's next spring because wherever you're going to trade him, the lion's share of that compensation is going to be the 2022 draft. So what's the rush? So if he's mad at me as the Packers, now I'm going to try sort of like plan B, which is just try to tap into his competitiveness. Like, if you want to play football this year, it's going to be in Green Bay. Now, Carson Palmer was the only player going back almost 2 decades where he sat out the year and then ultimately Cincinnati traded him to Arizona. But I would really want to talk about legacy and why we want you back. If that doesn't work, okay, if you want to play, this is where you're going to play. And if he sits out the year, then next year in March, we'll consider trading you.
So,
Right.
This- oh,
like, tell him,
gosh.
put him on ice. Like, okay, we're moving on without you. See, I feel like, again, I went into the rant yesterday about this.
Yes,
because
you did.
That's how I feel about this. I don't want to give you the out, Aaron. I'm going to have to wear this. You're wearing it
Okay,
too.
so-
We're all, one thing is funny, they're all working together on destroying the Packers.
Okay, breathe. Don't get-
I'm not letting you get out of this and go to Denver and have a great season and leave me with the mess. You're going to wear this too.
Okay, all right. Oh, you good? I know you get fired up on this one. Okay, breathe.
now, yeah.
Now, this would be my thing then, though, Mike. Does this then become Mark Murphy's journal entries to the team says that this is the plan? Because if it gets this nasty,